Hello, my name is Greta. I am from a small Scandinavian country that you have probably never heard of. But I am here today to share with you the concept of global warming and how it can be replicated on a very small scale by a homemade heater that will run on denatured alcohol. Come with me while the man is away and I will show you how it is made. Oi! You! Who? Who? Oh, hi. Who was that? Okay, anyway, I've had people asking me about how did I make this fabulous little heater that I've put into my camper trailer. It needed a few little bits of fettling to get it sorted, but now it's all done. I want to show you how you can make your own. I started off with just an offcut, a 4-inch chimney flue that I found at the dump. These happen all the time over winter. When people get fires installed into their homes, there's a kit that arrives and there's always little leftover bits. This is just one of those bits. What I did was cut a hole in it. Here's the remnant from the old one, from the one I've made here. And what I've done is placed the position of the hole the same distance from the bottom as the depth of one of these fish fillets cans. These are exactly the right diameter to fit inside here with a little push, and once they're in, you need to find out what that measurement is and start the hole there. I'm not making these videos to hold you by the hand and show you every step. I'm here to inspire you, to show you how you can save money and create things out of stuff that you've got lying around or that other people have got lying around. So, cut the window with a hacksaw, tin snips, or a cutting disc on an angle grinder. I'm lucky, I've got all the gear. I did it with a nice 1mm thick cutting disc. The next thing you'll need to do is to cut these holes around here, because if you do that, you can put a larger flower pot in the top, and that will add to the catalytic effect, and it will also push the heat out of these holes instead of just chimneying straight up into the air, and that will help keep you warm if you're close to the heater. To do it, I used a stepped drill bit. This is one of my most handy tools. I use it almost daily. It leaves a very little burr that is easy to clean off, whereas a normal drill bit will leave a whacking great big burr that takes some time to clean up. So, divide it up into 10, 12, 16, 14 even segments. You can do that by getting the label off the fish, marking out even spacings on it, and then wrapping that around and transferring those lines up before you drill. The next step of the job is to suspend the flower pots inside. I've used very small ceramic flower pots, which I'm not going to take out and show you. They're like this but smaller. There's 6 of them stacked together to form a ceramic column that heats up and retains the heat. That vaporizes any moisture that might be in the flame and gives you a nice dry warmth. That's suspended on a piece of wire, and that wire is suspended from another piece of wire which goes across through 2 holes here. I don't buy wire, I get it out of rubbish bins. What I used for this was the wire from an old oven tray. There's a lot of useful parts in ovens. I pull domestic stoves apart and get the thermostats, the switches, I get the wiring out of them, I can use the shelves and the insulation for various jobs. So it's reducing what's going into landfill and it's saving us money. So, get your piece of wire, put it through the hole in the bottom of the flower pots, make a loop in the top of the wire, then cut a second piece of wire that can go through that loop, through these two holes, and that allows you to centralise the flower pots in the middle of the column here. So that's your heater complete. Now how do we power the thing? I've made a series of methylated spirits, denatured alcohol burners. I've experimented with them for quite some time. It all started in a video long ago where I was in a second-hand shop and the ladies brought this up to me and asked me if I knew what it could possibly be. Well, I fiddled with it and found that it had obviously been burnt, it had been hot. When I took it apart, it smelled of methylated spirits and I could see very small holes around it. And I said, it's a burner. It's some kind of burner. I did a bit of research after finding the big letter T on the bottom and I found that it was a Trengia burner from Sweden. They're given to the armed forces for their cook-ups because they're very small and lightweight. They're also used by alpine hikers because gas stoves don't work well at high altitude because of the low pressure. These will work virtually anywhere. Now all over YouTube you'll find other people who are making their own version of this using beer cans or soft drink cans. Very simple. The top 30 mils of the can and the bottom 30 mils of the can get cut with ordinary tools like a box cutter knife or a good pair of scissors that Mum doesn't use for dressmaking. Cut the two halves. One's 5mm longer than the other. The two halves are pushed together. That 5mm ensures that this piece sticks out the top. And then once again, like I used a piece of paper for drawing the holes around here, you'll get a piece of paper, wrap it around, and the marks on the paper will correspond to where you just push pinholes. And what we've ended up with is a twin-walled stove. The inner wall and the outer wall holds a small amount of meths that heats before the main reservoir of meths in the middle vaporizes, and it's the meths vapor, the alcohol vapor, that forms jets of flame out of these holes and creates your burn. They really, really go well. They're awesome for boiling, but the problem is they only hold enough fuel for 15 minutes, so it's not ideal for a heater. It's awesome for a quick warm-up. If you're still outside doing things, putting things away, you can put this into your small space, your camper, your tiny home, and light it and give the thing a quick 15-minute blast. But if you want to stay in there, you can also use this as a long-term heater. It's most important to ensure adequate ventilation. I've done a lot of testing with CO, carbon monoxide monitors and alarms, and I've discovered that 1 inch, a 25mm gap on a window this wide is completely adequate. So we've got an open area of about that much, and in my situation, in my tiny camper, with the window open that far, the CO monitor does not register at all. It stays on 0. When I close it, it takes 15 minutes until it goes off. Okay, so please be sensible with this, but trust me, if you do it right, you won't die.
If you do die, leave a comment down below so that we can let other people know.
Now, we needed a slower burn so that we could hang out in a tiny space and stay warm while we're there. I've done some experimenting and I've come up with the most incredibly simple solution. To make this, you'll need a smaller can of tuna, one of the smaller flavoured cans, as opposed to smoked fish. There's the difference in size. You'll also need a handful of stones. I've experimented with different sizes of stones. Small gravel creates a much bigger flame that burns over the whole surface. Larger stones create licks of flame that come up from between the stones, and it's a much gentler, slower burn. But I can slow that down even more by getting the tear-off lid that came with this tin, turn the tab around, which was like this, turn the tab around so that it becomes a handy handle, and by placing that over the top we get a small lick of flame that just comes around the outside, and I've extended the burn on this to 2 hours and 15 minutes on about 4 tablespoons of meths. The next part of the project is to make some form of heat shield to go round it to protect the walls. This is how I achieved it. I just used a piece of aluminium checker plate that I had lying around because aluminium dissipates its heat incredibly fast. I put top hat sections on the back of it to space it off from the wall, and onto these top hat sections I've used neodymium rare earth magnets to secure it to my steel wall. Results may vary. You might need to permanently mount it with either small hooks or screws. On the front of it I've put a band that will stop the heater being knocked over, and from another piece I created a quadrant for the base that just pushes into the corner and will be held down with double-sided tape. The heater sits on it. This is then placed, the magnets attach it to the wall, and there is your complete heater ready to go. It's a little hard to see the flames because of the bright light, but you can be assured that that's burning nicely. The heat's starting to come up the chimney, but we can slow it down by simply placing this over and blocking off the flame to varying degrees. So that's my tiny Tuna Can terracotta space heater powered by denatured alcohol. I hope it works as well for you as it is working for me, but please remember, in my situation, my circumstances, I've tested it to be safe for what I'm doing. Your situation may vary. Remember, carbon monoxide is the silent killer. Don't let carbon monoxide steal your future.